Guys, this is still lesson 21.1. We went over some vocabulary in the first part, and that's important to know to help us set up proper equations when solving these types of problems with algebra involved, okay? So if we look at this first one, I'm going to kind of go quick here. You've got to be able to look at two angles and their positioning and know what is their relationship. So we talked about in the vocab part of 21.1, angles positioned here and here, those are called corresponding angles, okay? And we should know that corresponding angles are in the same position. That means this angle is equal to this angle, all right? So to find out the measure of these angles, we have to solve for x. So we're going to need to set up an equation, okay? And we solved equations in Module 18, all right? Since these two angles are corresponding, that means they are congruent or equal, all right? So very simply, you're going to put one angle on the left side of the equation. So the first one was labeled 3x plus 40 degrees, okay? And I know since it is equal to this angle, because they are corresponding angles, I can say that 3x plus 40 is equal to the other angle, which I labeled 5x minus 10, okay? So we're now going to solve this equation like we did in Module 18 for x to find out the value of x so we can figure out the measure of these angles here, all right? So there's variables on both sides. I always choose to eliminate the smaller one. So there's 3x on this side, 5x on this side. I'm going to take away 3x's from both sides, all right? So that would leave me with just 40 on this side. Okay, if I had 5x and I took away 3x, that would be 2x minus 10, okay? So we got our constants still on opposite sides. We got to get them together. So I want to eliminate this minus 10 by adding 10 to both sides, okay? And that would leave me with just 2x on this side, and 40 plus 10, that's 50, all right? And since I don't have 1x yet, I have to divide by 2, okay? And I can now see that 50 divided by 2 is 25. That means my value of x is 25. Okay, now that doesn't mean these angles are 25 degrees. It means the value of x is 25 degrees. To find out the measure of these angles, I now have to substitute 25 in for these x's here, all right? So for this angle up here in the top left-hand corner, I have 3x plus 40, all right? So for that angle, I'm kind of out of space here. All right, I'm going to replace the x here with what I found out x was 25, all right? All right, so I'm going to do 3 times 25 plus 40. 3 times 25, that is 75, plus 40, using some mental math, is 115, okay? So that angle up here, this one, is 115 degrees, all right? Now, remember I told you they had to be equal, so when I do the same thing here, I better get 115 degrees for this one here, too, all right? So this one was 5 times x minus 10, okay? And again, I'm going to replace the x with what I got was 25. So I'm going to replace the x with 25, and hopefully this comes out to be 115 also. So 5 times 25, that is 125. And don't forget to take away that 10, and that's good. That checks out perfectly because that one comes out to be 115 degrees. That means both of these angles are 115 degrees, okay? Let's look at a couple more here, all right? These two angles, okay, notice this one's obtuse and this one's acute. That automatically means they can't be equal to each other. Remember we talked about in the previous lesson, they have to be supplementary angles, okay? So this one's labeled 5x, this one's labeled 4x. There's no way they're equal. They are supplementary. And we learned that supplementary angles add up to 180. Okay, so our equation is not going to look the same as the one we did here, where these two were equal to each other. These two are not equal to each other. They have a sum of 180. So this is going to be an easy one. I have 5x, which is one of the angles, plus the second angle was 4x. They have a sum of 180. And here's the equation we're going to solve. Okay, my x's are already on the same side, so I can just combine them together. 5x plus 4x is 9x. Okay. Since I don't have 1x, I got to divide by 9, and I get x equals 20. That's 180 divided by 9 because my 9's canceled, okay? Same thing here. Once we find our variable, doesn't mean we're done, all right? All we found out was the value of x. If I want to find out the measure of these two angles, I got to now substitute this 20 in for these x's, all right? So the one that was labeled 5x, I'm going to do 5 times I got x equals 20, so I'm going to replace the x with 20. 5 times 20 is, so this angle here is 100 degrees, okay? This one was labeled 4x, all right? So here my x was 20 again. I'm going to do 4 times 20, and 4 times 20 is 80 degrees, okay? So this one came out to be 100, this one came out to be 80. Do those add up to 180? Yes, they do. That's good news because we said they were going to add up to 180 in the equation, didn't we? 100 plus 80, that checks out. That's good, okay? Okay, here's a third one here. Here's another one, help you out here. These are called alternate exterior angles. And in the previous lesson, we said these will always be equal. Notice obtuse, obtuse. They look like they're the same. They are the same, okay? So we're going to use the same equation we did in this one here. Since these are alternate exterior angles, that means they are equal to each other. So I'm going to put one of them on this side. That one was 2n plus 45. This one here was 5n minus 45. Oop. Okay, and now we're going to solve it the same way we did here, all right? So I'm not actually going to go through the solving part in this video here. You're just going to solve it the same way we did here. Okay, we got to get our variables on one side, constants on the other, solve for n, and then don't forget, once you figure out what n is, don't forget to replace these n's with what you found out down here, all right? So this video is more helping you trying to set up the equation, all right? Because we should already know how to solve them. The solving is the easy part. Setting them up is where you might go wrong here, okay? Okay, final one I want to look at here, okay? The trick is really, if one of them is obtuse, like this one is here, that's an obtuse angle, and this here is an acute angle. Obviously, there's no way they are equal to each other, therefore, they must add up to 180 degrees. These are called same side. Excuse me, I lost my train of thought for a second there. These are called same side exterior angles, which means they are definitely not equal. Okay, so basically we're going to use our 180 again. Okay, so I have my one angle is 3x minus 40. This one is x plus 20. We're going to add those together to make 180. All right, so I have 3x minus 40 plus, this one is x plus 20. Okay, so these two angles have a sum of 180, and you're going to solve it just like we did here. We're going to combine our stuff here. 3x plus 1x here, that would be 4x. And this is a minus 40 plus a positive 20 here. Negative 40 plus 20, that would be negative 20. Okay, and then you just got a two-step equation to solve. Okay, hope that was helpful, guys.